The intricate mechanics within Valorant all pose unique challenges along their respective paths to mastery, positioning those that are proficient in them with arguably the best tool for success. Players with exceptional ability to isolate angles, move evasively, and aim with intention are the ones who yield the best outcomes. This is not to say that ability usage, effective communication, and proper teamwork pale in comparison, but that those aforementioned points can only be used to their full potential if they work in tandem with mechanical abilities. As a starter, Valorant is especially unique in how the line between traditional categories of aim and game sense are blurred because of the realities relating to crosshair placement. Correct crosshair placement is the foundation from which you leverage your aim, allowing you to use your understanding of rotations, positioning, peeking, and other factors to ensure that you're looking at the right place at the right time. The goal of aim training is to make acting on these in-game decisions controlled and accurate. With this in mind, we can now consider the components of what makes good Valorant aim, and subsequently how to improve it. In most cases, your crosshair will rarely be perfectly placed onto a target, which is where micro-corrections come into play. This term may be familiar to some, especially if you've seen our static clicking video guide on this channel, as it references the common aiming practice of landing a small correction directly on a target. This adjustment usually originates from a large initial flick that has a certain amount of anticipated error. But in the case of Valorant, this should usually be only a micro-correction without the initial flick, since your crosshair should already be looking at a location with the highest possibility of an opponent peeking or holding. With that said, during a typical round of Valorant, most of your time will not be spent in gunfights. It will instead be spent on navigating the map and clearing certain positions or angles based on your intuitive understanding of how the round is progressing. This means that as you traverse throughout the map, your crosshair should be making deliberate movements that should receive at least as much care and training as the micro-corrections that stem from them. There are a limited number of methods and approaches to train these techniques in-game, and we'll briefly visit the most known mode used for training. With that being said, let's briefly look at one of the more popular training blocks from Team Liquid's Nats. The warm-up training that he does before ranked, scrims, and matches is one set of 100 streak eliminations, one set of speed eliminations on hard, and a single deathmatch. We want to emphasize that Nats is a professional player who is maximally invested in his success within the game, and can thus prioritize his time to complete this training on a daily basis. However, it's important to be realistic about your goals and aspirations. So tailor this to your unique constraints, or even craft a training of your own. For example, a newer player might not be fully accustomed to hard mode on the training range. By insisting on playing it at their level, they could potentially build poor aiming habits such as rushing micro-adjustments, over-flicking, and jitter. If you do ultimately decide to adopt this training, or one of a similar length and intensity, ensure that you're able to properly work on a proper technique without being forced into a specific aiming form. Make sure your surroundings are conducive to focus, and use every elimination as a rep to address weaknesses that you may be experiencing in your games. In-game training will always be an extremely valuable asset to any player wanting to improve their mechanics for their respective title. But it's also crucial that they make use of third-party aim trainers, like aimlabs, to offer further isolation training regarding specific aspects of aiming. Voltaic main team members and amped coaches have worked to provide a suite of aim training tasks and training tailor-made for the unique needs and challenges of Valorant, so that our entire community can work on their aim for improvement's sake alone. This includes training resources made by Cartoon, Minigod, and Loris, who are all aim training world record holders, while also being highly regarded in the tactical FPS space. They represent a coaching staff that has provided direct aim coaching to Tier 1 players like Ye, Jing, Avova, Soulcast, and many more. The aimlabs training that is featured in this video is a Valorant warm-up training created by Minigod that cites the book The Warm-Up by Dr. Ian Jeffries as the primary inspiration. It is a good first implementation of the ramp protocol used in the aim training space. Ramp is a warm-up structure designed to optimize regular warm-ups to not only help players with warming up before their games, but also to improve their aim in the long term by fully utilizing the total time spent warming up. This training includes a much wider range of aiming mechanics, with an intended length of about 16 minutes. This training delves into smoothness and more specific micro-correction-focused work. Ideally, this warm-up training is meant to be played before our Valorant games, mixed with an addition of in-game time used to get the feeling of our recoil and movement. All of the training resources, with detailed explanations and scenario breakdowns, can be found in this video's description below.